Hello everybody, welcome to the toys.com soldering thread. My name is Squirrel, or Brian, whatever you want to call me. This is an addition onto the soldering thread that I did that shows you basically how to solder a speed controller and a LiPo with Dean's plugs and connectors. If at any time during the video, you can pause if you want, you can go back to the thread, and I'm going to have stills and everything up, close-up pictures of a different LiPo soldering onto that particular connector. So if you have questions or you just want to actually see a still of it, you can log on to the video or the thread itself. You can look at it there. If you just got linked the thread, you can go to www.thetoyz.com. The forums link is at the top of the page, and then scroll all the way down to the RC FAQ tech section, and it should be right there. Anyway, here's my Mamba 25 ESC. And I have my LiPo right here, or LIMN. I got my Dean's connectors, I got my solder right here, and I'm using tools that you can find around your house. Other than maybe a wire stripper, you may or may not have that, but for this particular project we won't need it. I have it here anyway. I'm going to use a pair of vice grips, and then I also have a pair of pliers. I have a pretty high level of certification in soldering, so I try to teach it the right way. Other people may have shortcuts, and that's completely fine too, but if you look at my thread, you'll understand what I mean about teaching it the right way. For solder, I recommend trying to find as close to 6337 type solder as you can. That's just a different mix of the alloys. 6337 doesn't provide a plastic state as far as rework or if you get too hot. It also melts at the right temperature, and it's reworkable more. So if you have to take the iron back to it, I think the average time is about 3 times with anything else, and you're going to get a plastic state. So 6040 is fine. 6337 is probably about the best tech grade that you can possibly get. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and start. First thing you want to do when doing this project is to pre-tin everything. As you can see, my wires right here, I don't have any solder on them. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to solder these, and then I'm going to remove the tips off of these one at a time, and then pre-tin those as well. And that's simply how you remove these. They just pop right off. Sometimes they actually come similar to this, or they're cut all the way up here. At that point in time, you just take your wire strippers and just strip off the end a little bit. So I'm going to put this off to the side. I'm now going to take my soldering iron, and it really sucks having a solder way out there. Basically what I'm doing is I'm taking the iron below the wire, touched it with the solder to get some heat, and I'm now waiting for the wire to heat up to take the solder. Come on. Here we go. So that one's pre-tin. And basically solder will go where solder's been. So if you're doing connectors, tabs, or anything else, and if you solder something and you take the solder off and then you go back in to actually solder it, I know it sounds redundant, but you'll actually get a better solder job out of it. It's almost there. I wish I was at work. I have a better soldering station there, but I'm trying to use stuff that everybody would have at their house, which sometimes is a pain in the butt. These look like these have already been soldered, so I'm just going to touch them up just to make sure. 10 minutes. There we go. There we go. And pre-tinning is cool because, well, let me set this up. Take my vice grips. And I'm going to look at how it's positioned on the actual battery itself. If I did it this way, it would be fine, which is fine with me. If I did it this way, obviously I'm going to be having to have my black wire, my negative wire overlap. So this positioning is fine. The thing with pre-tinning is also if you have solder already on it, it heats up a lot faster, and the actual job itself is a lot quicker. So all I'm doing here is I'm just going to put my iron on the tab and feed the solder into it. Come out with a ball of solder on it, and just make sure The only real requirement is that I have solder on all 4 edges of it. And I'm going to do the other negative side as well, since I already have my vice grips to that size. A little bit over here, not like you can really see, but I'll do it anyway. And then again, if you log on to the site, I have another lipo to do. And I got my macro lens out. So I got my negative sides done. I'm now going to go back for my positive sides. There we go. And do the other one. The last soldering thread I did was pretty cool. It had like 5,000 hits and people linked it all over the places. Certain stores were using it as well. Kind of sucks I had to take it down, but hopefully this one will be a little bit better with the voice and everything else in it. I can get some more videos of other things as well. Alright, so I got all this stuff in there. I'm ready to solder on. I'm going to do the negatives first, just, you know, why not? Now the first thing you want to remember when you start soldering anything onto the wires, I came a little close, put your heat shrink on first, and then on the other side as well. You want to put your heat shrink all the way down as well. The slightest bit of heat will actually start making them start to constrict, which can be bad, especially on these sort of connectors, because you won't actually get a good fit. So anyway, all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my soldering tip, I'm going to try to touch the tab and the wire at the same time. I already got solder on it, it's going to melt fairly quickly in theory. And I already have solder here, and I already have solder on the wire, so I shouldn't need to put any more solder onto it. So here we go. Tab's starting to melt. Wire's melted. Just make sure. Hold it down. And I should have a good solid connection. Again, I already have the negative sides done. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the other side as well. And I'm going to... And it starts to burn. Yeah. So there we go. Neutrals are done. Bring it in. Ooh, not quite. And these wires were different lengths to begin with, so it's a little fidgety. Come on. There you go. And hold it. If you don't hold it, you're going to have a weak solder connection in there, which is never good. And the final one. There we go. And again, if my hands are starting to get burned on it, then just imagine how the heat shrink is going to start constricting. The next step is to take your heat shrink, move it all the way up, and form it around. You can use a lighter, you can use any sort of heat source. I have my grill lighter right here. There you go, that's it. Same thing with this. Just move it on up. And you're done. That's it.